Hey, Suge. Welcome to a brand spanking new episode of the Melanin Mayhem podcast, hosted by your favorite country girl, Renee Davis. If this is your first time joining in on the mayhem, honey, thank you for choosing my little podcast. I truly appreciate the stream, especially if you're listening on Spotify. But wherever you are tuning in from, let me hip you to what we got going on over here. You see, every Wednesday, I bring you the story of heinous, diabolical, and downright negacious crimes committed by a melanated baddie that you may not know of. And there's a reason for that too. You see, the mainstream media, they often ignore our stories of prolific crimes in favor of featuring mediocre white men as the only ones that commit serial offenses. And you see, that's where I come in. I'm the one-woman band on a mission to dispel this pervasive myth that there are certain types of crimes that black people don't commit, because that's bullshit. Black people commit serial shenanigans just as much as our Asian counterparts. But our shit gets swept under the rug, treated like an anomaly, whitewashed down to a soundbite, if that. But baby, never fear, the country girl is spilling all the tea and shining a big old spotlight on the serial side of our collective black stories. Yeah, black people are amazing and we do some awesome shit. But on the flip side, we also do some real fucked up shit too. And it's my job to make sure that you know about it so that you or someone you love doesn't become a victim. So hopefully you're down with the cause. Today you might need a drink because this story, honey, I'm just saying. All right, y'all. Now that we have properly welcomed our guests, got them all up to speed on how we do it over here, it's time for me to talk to my peoples. The cream and sugar to my coffee, peanut butter to my jelly. My most favorite people in the whole wide world. Don't y'all tell my children I said that. Make it a little jealous. What it do, New Orleans Nation? How your mama Nim? I hope you had a great Black History Month. I am so ready for the spring, though. Ooh, honey, my Lord. I'm ready for some consistent warmth in my neck of the woods. I mean, right now we currently are in false spring number 3. And baby, all it takes is 2 good days of 70+ degree temperatures outside. And ooh, here come the booty shorts and the sundresses. It ain't time yet, y'all. It's still winter. This is still coochie catch cold season. Hopefully your March has started off well and is being good to you. Man, I feel like this year is already starting to fly by. I mean, I needed to slow down for just a minute so your girl can catch her breath. But time waits for nobody, self included. Church announcements today are slim. Make sure that you check out the website. I have put a couple of new items. You can find that at melaninmayhempodcast.com. Y'all, let me see what else. I've been thinking about what to do for the next virtual event, and what y'all think about like a game night or something? Of course, there will be crime stories and whatnot, but me and you just kicking it, playing some games, talking, laughing, just being grown and vibing out. Let me know what y'all think about that. I be trying to think of different ways to zhuzh it up a little bit, so that when we do what we do, because we can't all get together in person, we can still get together in fellowship. Let's see. Still looking at Essence. That will probably be the next in-person something or another that comes together. So if you plan on heading to Essence Fest this year, let me know if you're down to meet up. Let's see what we can do down there in the streets of New Orleans. I think that's about it. Although I wish I could just draw this out and just find like 15 other things to talk about with y'all, because I swear, I really don't want to do today's story. It's teen too much. But I know I got a job to do, but man, some episodes are harder than others. And it's crazy because this week, this story, they not like us. Like, it's crazy. But I got to tell you about it because it's crazy. And this week we are going to go in a slightly different direction with the foolishness and fuckery. I mean, yeah, we gonna talk about some killing, but these killings aren't like our usual killings. And if I'm being honest with myself, the kind of killing we about to talk about kind of scared me a little bit more than the usual serial murdering variety. I'll explain later, because y'all probably like, Nay, what the fuck is you talking about? I know. Today we're gonna talk about some hood shit that just went way, way, way wrong. I mean, hood shit, and I wish I was about to give y'all a ghetto tale of woe about 40s and Philly blunts, but sadly, that's not the hood shit we about to get into. You see, this motherfucker today was a domestic terrorist, literally. Him and his little tainted bloodline. Baby, he terrorized his neighborhood. Like, way, way, way worse than Debo, because all Debo was gonna do was beat you up and take your shit. But you live to see another day. Not with this nigga. If he ran up on you, chances was good your day was about to get exponentially worse and could end in disconnection. And it didn't matter who you were or where you were. If you were in this particular neighborhood, this motherfucker was gonna get you. He had a what I like to call a glitch in his system. Y'all know how when you're watching something on the screen and then it kind of glitches out for a minute and then comes right back and then glitches out again? Well, some people's lives, their actions are kind of like that. And as I researched this story, that just was immediately what popped into my head. Like, it's a glitch in the matrix, and this nigga somehow got loose. and he did shit with impunity. Like, I'm literally clutching my pearls. My flabber is gasted, because how the fuck? Serial killers don't always kill people they don't know. Sometimes they set up shop and hunt right in their neighborhood on Front Street. It's still serial killing when one dude got a whole lot of bodies on him. You know what I'm saying? It falls under the same category. It's diabolical, and the shit is happening. And I got a story of some y'all ain't gonna believe it. You know, I promise you're not gonna believe this. And since I can't run from it, we might as well go on ahead and get on to it. New Orleans Nation, I am so sorry to have to drag this stinking, trifling son of a bitch that somebody should have swallowed to the front of the congregation. But if ever there was a motherfucker that needed a good old-fashioned drag session, it's this nigga. This week's Melanin Mayhem maker is Mr. Joshua Anderson, aka Penitentiary Ready. Okay, y'all. Joshua Julius Anderson was born June 17th, 1987 in Oklahoma. I don't have a clue who spawned this seed of Satan, because clearly they threw in the towel early on and he became a ward of the streets. Now, it was some more feral family members that would pop out whenever some show your ass type of shit was going down. And Joshua had an older brother. His name was Alvin Anderson. They called him AC. And these two, they was thick as thieves. If you saw one, please believe the other one was somewhere near. And if you had a beef with one, you had a beef with both of their asses. Oh, honey, they was hell on wheels, let me tell you, New Orleans Nation. Just some nasty work. Bullies. Hyper aggressive. Hyper violent. You know, it was fuck school. You know, they enrolled in the school of hard knocks and they got out here and had to get it how they lived. And I wish I could say that the shit I'm about to tell you happened when they were real adults, but this is a YN story all the way. This nigga Joshua wasn't even old enough to buy alcohol legally. In short, this was a little wasted life, because he was a badass motherfucker for sure. So we're going to start off in 2002 when Joshua is just 15 years old and he is already a OGYN. I told you he's a bully. And so he is out here in these streets and he done got into some shit with somebody, and Joshua likes to pull out his pistol. And so some gunplay ensues, and somebody ends up with a bullet in their ass. The cops are called, but our hood politics dictated that cooperating with the cops would make life real hard for the victim. So Joshua just skated on this charge of attempted murder at 15 years old. Now, 3 years later, when he was finally legal, he's crashing out some more. First, it was on a man named Roy Thompson Jr. Roy and Joshua had a beef, and again, Joshua wanted some gunplay, so he shot the shit out of Roy. He was arrested and charged with shooting Roy. But hood politics dictated that Roy not snitch on the motherfucker that tried to send him to the ancestral plane, so the case got dismissed. Everything that Joshua has done gets dismissed. There is no real accountability. Couple of nights in the county, couple of weeks in the county, and then he back out because the case can't form because there's no one to testify against him. Mind you, he just turned 18. This shit has been going on since he was a knee-high to a butterfly. You know what I'm saying? But nobody has made Joshua account for his bad behavior, so it just continues and it escalates. After he got out of that shit with Roy, not one to just sit down and just drink his water. Next thing he do is he goes upside his girlfriend's head, and I'm talking about it was real bad. Like it was some held her against her will type of situation, cut her hair, like torturing this woman. She was able to get away from him, and she pressed charges, and they hit him with kidnapping and assault and stealing her shit. And you would think that he's an adult, so you're in superior court and you just really fucked somebody up, and they're testifying. Okay, now maybe is a time that Joshua's gonna get some time. They gave him 90 days. 3 months. What in the whole hell? The very next month, as soon as he gets out of jail, he's back in the neighborhood causing chaos, shootouts. Like, police are called. Joshua is the shooter, but no one is willing to say he did it on the record. Like, they'll tell it, don't say my name style. You know what I'm saying? But nobody is wanting to speak on these bullets that are flying because they know it's going to result in more bullets being thrown. So that put paid to that. So time moving on, we find ourselves in late 2006, and Joshua and AC have moved from this neighborhood that they've been terrorizing to a neighborhood in North Tulsa. AC got a house that he's renting at 923 Trenton Street. New hood, new victims to terrorize. And ooh, honey, terrorized the fuck out this neighborhood. They did. In a short amount of time, the neighborhood started to empty out because these motherfuckers was crazy. Like, in the span of about 5 to 7 months, most of the houses on Trenton Street were either abandoned or burned out. And guess who was doing the burning? You gonna see. So it's October 14th, 2006, and Joshua Anderson kicks things off with a rape. A woman in Muskogee County went to police and said that Joshua had raped her and she wanted to press charges. And this should have been enough to snatch his ass off the street. And the rest of this shit that I'm about to tell you about wouldn't have happened. But we know sexual crimes against women aren't pursued as vigorously as they should be. And while this rape charge is going to come into play later, right now it's just sitting on a shelf somewhere chilling. So it's November 2006, November 5th to be exact, when some more hood shit popped off. There was this dude, his name was Evaristo Tobias Jr. He came through Trenton Street looking for a little something to take the edge off from one of them there street pharmacists. And somehow in the course of trying to procure a street prescription, Evaristo got into it with Joshua and his brother AC. Baby, they say them boys beat the Mario coins out of Evaristo. Well, He tried. Evaristo, he really did try. He had a blade on him, but in the end, he literally bought a knife to a gunfight. And baby, that young nigga Joshua grabbed a double-barreled shotgun and put 2 slugs in him for testing his gangster right around the corner from their house. And then, after he shot Evaristo, he took his knife, that same knife that he bought to this gunfight, he took his knife and dipped. The very next day, Evaristo's house was set on fire. The police are called. The hood, they tell who did it. But hood politics dictate that don't use my name. Hell no, I ain't gonna testify. If you say my name, I ain't seen shit and I don't know shit. But you know, it was that boy Joshua. Joshua did that shit. Tulsa police know it's Joshua. But Tulsa police ain't got no evidence to use against Joshua. Baby, anybody could feel the wrath of these deranged lunatics. Like, there was this woman who came to AC's house over there at 923 North Trenton. It was right before Christmas, December 23rd, 2006. She's just coming over there to kick it, right? And here come Joshua telling this woman that he need to use her car. Use my car? Felicia, bye. Like, nigga, I don't know you, right? Who does that? Baby, that was the wrong answer. Y'all, Joshua beat this woman from inside the house to outside the house. Baby, she was trying to get away. And this nigga AC, who she is over here kicking it with, oh, he ain't trying to help at all. He is literally watching his brother brutally fucking this woman up. This nigga Joshua shoved this woman face in the mud trying to drown her about her fucking car. Now he leaves her face down in the mud, takes her keys, and dips off in said car. Now after this beatdown, because it was a stomp out beatdown, like this is nothing. It was like he was fighting another man that wasn't fighting back. She didn't press charges. She didn't call the police. Because everybody is scared. If you can just imagine how scared you got to be to have literally just gotten a mollywhopping of epic proportions, your car taken, and you won't even call the police, and you got to sit here with this mud all over you and your cute little outfit and your face all fucked up and your body all sore, to this nigga that you came over here to kick it with, who is sitting here ain't not giving 2 shits that his brother just did you like this. Man, this is crazy. I told y'all it was some hood shit. Like, this is super duper hood shit. God damn. Well, it's still Christmas time. A couple of days later, it's December 26, 2006. And another man gets into it with AC and Joshua over on the block. Over $10, y'all. $10. And he ended up stabbed up. Yeah, they jugged him up real good over there on East Haskell Place. I mean, this the day after Christmas. You supposed to still be filled with the spirit of the season and all that shit. You out here stabbing motherfuckers over $10? Like, these niggas don't give a fuck. And again, hood politics dictate that you go get yourself patched up, but you don't tell nobody who did what they did to you. Still in December, on the 30th, another neighbor, man named Christopher Madero. Now he was found laying in the street. Baby, somebody gave his ass more than a 2-piece and a biscuit. They gave him the whole family meal deal. Left him unconscious, completely asleep in the middle of the street. And so the ambulance comes and they take Chris to the hospital, and when it was all said and done, Chris got a skull fracture. Somebody that literally beat his head into the white meat. He got bruised ribs and cuts and contusions all over his body. And when the police came to ask Christopher some questions, again, hood politics dictated that he say he didn't know who had worked that ass over. So the police kept it pimping. Throwed the deuces at that ass. But we all know who fucked Chris up. And this can of whoop ass that they opened up on him for this one, oh, that was just a pregame show. Y'all, these niggas was just a beast with it. So many people reported that they were robbed, assaulted, bullied by these dudes who would just randomly start shooting in the air or shooting at other people and just breaking windows out of people's houses just for fun. This neighborhood sounds like it should have been somewhere in Beirut or hell, Haiti, but it's right here in middle America. And they were just popping off just because they could. And see, this is why I say everybody should own a gun, because nigga, what? But I ain't through. I'm really just getting started. So look, it looked to me like these degenerate motherfuckers didn't have no job. They just took what they wanted. Just hanging out on the block, waiting and watching for their next mark. Interrogating anybody that happened to come into the area, and they were opportunistic in their assaults. If somebody came through looking for drugs, they would just run up on them and act like the hood admin assistants, if you will. And on this particular day, January 23rd, 2007, Christopher Madero pops back up on the scene. Remember, that was the dude that was laid out last month in the middle of the street. Him. So he out the hospital and he back on the block. Well, he comes bebopping through the hood and come up on Joshua and AC. And a conversation ensues, and they apparently ask him, what you looking for? And Chris told him, what he looking for. And they was like, bet, come on, we'll take it to the dope man. Like Chris don't know how to get to the dope man house by himself. But once again, on the way to procure pharmaceuticals, an argument breaks out between Chris and Joshua Neal. Well, apparently, Christopher owed the Anderson boys some money, and they was on some fuck you pay me type of shit. Well, it didn't seem like Chris was trying to settle his debt. He was just trying to get his geek on and was unlucky enough to run into these psychos on the way. Plus, the day before, somebody had broke into Christopher's house over on North St. Louis Avenue, and they stole his TV and set his kitchen on fire. We know who like to set shit on fire, right? Everybody know that Joshua and AC like to play with fire and break into folks shit, right? And so Chris felt like he was square with them niggas because y'all just ran up in my shit and stole my shit. We even. Well, Joshua and AC, they didn't see it that way. Not at all. So words are being exchanged and shit getting heated, and the next thing you know, hands are being thrown. Once again, we got another woefully unprepared combatant. You see, kind of like Evaristo, Chris bought a pointed object to a gunfight. A pointed object, Nate? What you mean? Christopher bought an ice pick. What in the Harlem Nights is this shit? A ice pick? Like, wait a minute. In the year of our Lord, 2007, motherfuckers were still using ice picks? Ooh, that's old school like a motherfucker. Chris, you smoke crack. You smoke crack, don't you, Chris? Do you know how precise you gotta be to fatally jug a motherfucker with an ice pick? Much less two motherfuckers? Chris gonna have to be cha-cha-cha, sha-sha-sha. Nigga, what is you fencing? What are you doing? Well, yeah, as you probably figured, his ice pick was no match to Joshua's 22. Baby, folks always talking shit about a little 22, calling it a cap gun. A cap gun against an ice pick, I'll take that all day long. Shit, you point that 22 at the right spot and it'll get the job done every time. As it did against Chris, he didn't make it. But not only did Joshua cut his water off, he also robbed Christopher. Remember, Chris came through looking for a little something to smoke or snort or shoot up or whatever. Although I'm still holding strong that he was smoking crack, because when Josh ran them pockets, he ain't had but $3 on him. Like, nigga, what is you finna go smoke with $3? Pocket lint? Maybe that's what the argument was about. I don't know. But Joshua took the little funky $3 and jumped in AC's car, and they skirt right on up out of there. Still on some fuck shit though, later on that very same day, this glitching ass terrorist ran up on a nigga named David Gilbert. And see, earlier that same day, they had a little run-in and some words were exchanged and threats and promises on, how you don't want to see me and all that shit, right? And so now, it's later in the day, post-killation of Christopher, and allegedly Joshua will see this nigga David, and the next thing you know, bullets is flying. Now, it's a gang of people around ducking and dodging, witnessing all of this foolishness and fuckery. But when the cops came, hood politics dictated that them same ducking, dodging, witnessing people, they caught a real serious case of amnesia. So, yeah. On this particular day, this nigga Josh is 3 in and we still ain't done. Because a couple of days, not too long after that, a woman who lived next door to where AC and Joshua lived, she happened to look out the window because there was a commotion going on outside. And she sees AC and Joshua out there fucking somebody up right outside her door. So she called her husband, baby, come see. Look at this shit. And so they peeping out the window, and when the stomp out was done, whoever it was that was on the receiving end of the beatdown was laying in the middle of the street, not moving. Well, this woman and her husband, they are decent moral peoples, and they wanted to help the young man because he was down bad. I'm talking real bad. So the husband goes outside and tries to help the young man up out the street when AC and Joshua come out the house ready to open up another can of whoop ass. Yeah, baby, they threaten this man. They tell him that they're gonna send his ass to the room, make him completely disappear if he don't get his monkey ass back in the house. And again, these are the neighborhood terrorists and their next door neighbors. This man and his wife just watched them beat the brakes off this young man that is still laying unconscious in the middle of the street. That man didn't want no parts of that, so he did as he was told and went back in his house and minded the business that paid him. Just under siege. Later on, another neighbor says that Joshua and AC grabbed up her daughter and mollywopped her ass too. Say that they held this girl on the ground and stomped and kicked her all about her head in the middle of the street in front of her house. And nobody, not even the mama who saw the shit go down, did a thing. The girl was so scared of these deranged ass niggas that she refused to make a police report because, again, the whole retaliation thing, it was real because it wasn't like the Tulsa PD was gonna do nothing. Them niggas would, if they had picked them up, them niggas would have been back on the block before they could even begin to start thinking about moving or relocating out of the neighborhood. Just powerless. Ooh, child, this is too much. Somebody needs to put a bullet in these niggas. Like, that's what you have to do to a rabid animal. Take they ass out. A bullet to the dome to make sure these niggas never come home. I'm just saying. Shit me. See, when you see a glitching motherfucker go unchecked, sometimes they will crash out so bad that there is nothing left to be said but And we see how Joshua and his brother have terrorized this neighborhood. In the span of a few months, nobody was safe and nobody would talk, so the cycle of violence, intimidation, and terroristic tactics, that shit continued. And then it just went completely off the rails. It all started February 2nd, 2007, when AC told his brother Joshua that a dude in the neighborhood named Herbert Hobbs was walking around with a pocket full of money. Now, Herbert was a 52-year-old man, not that age where he a hothead or anything remotely close to being a YN. He a middle-aged man living a modest life. His mama, 69-year-old Miss Rosemary Hobbs, she lived in a little senior community down the way, but this particular day she just happened to be at her son's house visiting, right? Well, when Joshua heard that there was a bag to be had, he took off to Herbert's house. He knocks on the door, and when Herbert answered, Joshua put that revolver to his dome and pushed his way inside. Once he got in that house, y'all, he tied up Herbert and his mama, 69-year-old Miss Rosemary. Now, this in and of itself is diabolical. This man and his senior citizen mama was minding the business that paid them in their own damn house, not bothering nobody. Herbert's only misstep was going to the store and being seen paying for his purchase by a low-life, leeching-ass, puss-ass nigga. After Joshua tied up Herbert and his mama, he ransacks their house looking for this money. Now, he came up on $300, talked some shit, but then he left. Yeah, this trifling, musty-mouth motherfucker actually left after he terrorized and robbed them. Still very much alive, shaken up, but for the most part, unhurt. But don't breathe a sigh of relief yet, New Orleans Nation, because what happened next is the unthinkable. Joshua goes home and he tells AC that he did indeed come up on Herbert, right? He showed him the money, and as he is explaining to AC how all this shit went down, AC must have said something like, you wore a mask or something? And Joshua was like, no, I went up in that bitch and just took that shit. So AC was like, they seen your face, huh? And Joshua was like, yeah, they did. They know exactly who did it. And I'm guessing it's at that point that AC is intimating that, that's a stupid ass move. You know what I'm saying? Now they ain't marks. Now they witnesses. And even though don't nobody tell, this glitching ass maniac decides that he can't leave no witnesses. So he goes back to Herbert's house. Now, when he get there and walks in, they have untied themselves. Now, I don't know. Maybe he walked in the house as they were getting free, but before they had a moment to gather themselves to make a call or anything. And I say that because there is no record of anybody in the Hobbs house calling 911. So for me, that means that maybe they had just gotten free when Joshua doubled back on them. Y'all, what happened next is the thing that nightmares are made of. It's so heinous that I am literally sick to my stomach having to tell y'all about what happened next. So Joshua, realizing that they have gotten themselves free, he pulls the revolver back out and starts threatening them or whatever. And I feel in my heart that Herbert was just trying to calm this monster down, just saying whatever he needed to say to try to get Joshua to just calm down. I'm not going to tell. We're not going to say nothing. Just keep the money. You can have anything you want in this house. We're not going to say nothing. Just go. Just leave us alone. Anything you want. Just leave me and my mama alone. I can't imagine what Miss Rosemary was going through. Like, she had to have been scared out of her mind. She damn near 70. She been robbed and tied up in her own damn house. And now the nigga back? Just when she thought she had gotten free and this ordeal was over, the nigga is back. Y'all, that pussy ass glitching motherfucker held that gun on them people and then made Herbert and his mama get naked. I gotta get through this. I'm trying, y'all, but I am just so fucking disgusted and just angry because this don't make no sense. Joshua Anderson made Herbert Hobbs and his mama have sex. You nasty, trifling, negastical, disgusting waste of flesh. Oh, they shouldn't have even swallowed you. They should have spit your ass out on the floor. I can't even get my brain to comprehend this. Like, none of it. Miss Rosemary is 69 years old, living in a senior community. So the vision that I have in my head is this frail mother that has raised a son and didn't bother nobody and just living out her golden years, just trying to be. And this is her flesh and blood son that she gave birth to. Unnatural doesn't even come close to describing this heinous, audacious, diabolical act. The logistics of it all just don't work. What kind of sick, twisted mind do a motherfucker got to have to even think of something like this? But fear is a powerful thing. The desire to live and to not die like this had to have been what gave Herbert and Miss Rosemary the strength to go through with it. Herbert didn't want this maniac to kill his mama, so he did what Joshua told him to do. And him and his mama performed sexual acts on each other while Joshua watched, holding them at gunpoint. I need a moment. I need to gather myself, New Orleans Nation, because I want to throw up. Like, this is... after this deed against humanity was done, Joshua killed him anyway. And I think they knew this son of a bitch was going to do it because Miss Rosemary just started praying. He shot Miss Rosemary 4 times. 3 times in the chest, once in the head. And he shot Herbert once. Just killed them both. And then he leaves and goes back to his house. When he gets there, his brother AC is there, and at some point they discuss what happened at the Hobbs house, and Joshua tells him what he did, and I don't know if AC didn't believe it or he wanted to see it for himself, but for the 3rd time that day, they go back to the Hobbs house. They let themselves in, and AC gets to see up close and personal what his brother did, and you would think that's bad enough. But then they defile the Hobbs even worse. Now, you might be thinking, "Nay, ain't no way it can get no worse than this. I mean, this is the worst of worst. Like, what else could they possibly do to just compound this situation?" Let me tell you how worse can get. They're back at this house being just ignorant. And then that sick, twisted, trifling, low-life, limp dick ass motherfucker Joshua goes to Miss Rosemary. Remember, he had shot her once in the head, so her shit open to the pink meat. Joshua picks up some brain matter and eats it. Like I want to gargle with bleach, y'all. I ain't did shit, but I feel like I'm about to puke in this motherfucker. Like, what? Ugh. Well, it was too much for AC. And he actually did throw up. Because, yeah, your brother's a psycho and you unleashed him on these innocent people. Since you throwing up, does that mean that maybe, just maybe, your conscience is starting to kick you in your ass a little bit? Maybe you gonna call the cops and turn your brother in for doing this shit? Nope. Not at all. Because, hood politics and blood politics dictate that we don't snitch. You know what I'm saying? So, AC and Joshua decide, let's make this bad situation worse, shall we? And I don't know where this nigga AC gets it from, but some gasoline is on hand and the decision is made to burn the goddamn house down so that no evidence will be left behind as to who did this shit. And then AC proceeds to pour gasoline on Herbert and Miss Rosemary. He douses the walls and the furniture. And then they set the motherfucking house on fire and just dip. Can we just sit with this for a moment? Like, I have told y'all about some fucked up shit on this here podcast. I mean, we deal in serial offenders that rape and murder for sport. But this one right here, it feels different. I mean, usually serial killers are in and out like a robbery, right? They do what they do and then they haul ass. But this nigga was playing with his food before he ate it, literally. He really terrorized Herbert and Miss Rosemary. I mean, he could have just left it at the robbery. I got a half a mind to believe that even if he hadn't come back, the Hobbs wouldn't have called the police on Joshua. They would have been afraid of the blowback, even though they were the ones that had been victimized. Herbert probably knew Joshua and his brother. Hell, for that matter, Miss Rosemary probably did too. They were the neighborhood menaces. They knew what they were capable of with regard to retaliation. And if they got free and nobody picked up the phone immediately to say, "Hey, we just got tied up and robbed in our own home by this motherfucker in the neighborhood," I don't think they were gonna call. I mean, because for me, that would have been the first thing I did after I untied my mama. Shit, while I'm untying my mama, I would have had the phone in my hand calling 911. I just can't fathom this, that, they're there in the moment. They're trying to get their hearts to stop pounding in their chest. And here this motherfucker come for round 2. And now you're going to make this middle-aged man and his senior citizen mama have a freak off? Even Diddy wouldn't have stooped that low. And you stood there or sat there and watched it. You enjoyed the suffering. Because ain't no way this wasn't a full out breakdown, gut wrenching, sobbing type of situation. I mean, the tears of it all from both of them. Y'all, let me tell you, I would step in front of a Mack truck on 285 before I can even form this image in my brain of having sex with my daddy or my mama. To have to go through it because I don't want this maniac to shoot and kill my parent that I love to the ends of the earth. I mean, hell, even if I didn't like their asses, I still couldn't do it because there was a chance to save their lives. But I guess like Herbert, I wouldn't have a choice. But y'all, it's all I can do to keep this bile in my stomach because even saying it makes me want to puke my guts out. And then after it's over, you gonna shoot them anyway? Stinking son of a bitch. You knew that when you went back to that house that you was gonna kill them people. Why not just do it and get the shit over with? Why torture and torment them like that? Because you was a sick, twisted, glitching ass masochist. That's why. So the Hobbs house is on fire. And of course, here comes the fire trucks and shit. And they get the blaze under control. And then they go in there and then they find the bodies. The bodies were burned beyond recognition thanks to AC pouring the gas directly on them, ensuring that they were going to be flame broiled, right? And so the police are called. And at this point, is enough. This is a motherfucking enough. The police had been in the background investigating the deaths of Christopher and David. And even though nobody would speak on the record, even in the hood is hood, with a snitches get stitches code of conduct, people still talk. Off the record, of course. And they were dropping dimes on AC and Joshua, but because they were not willing to be a witness, the police were having a hard time making these cases stick against Joshua and them. But with the death of Herbert and Miss Rosemary, this was just too much. And with these same names being said, Joshua Anderson and Alvin A.C. Anderson, the police was like, you know what? We got to put a stop to this. I mean, this is too much. Like, this is escalation on 1,000. And so they get their warrant and they run up in AC and Joshua's house that very same day that they found Herbert and his mama. They still don't have no evidence to make the case even for the death of Herbert and his mama. What they do have is that goddamn rape charge that came out last year. Remember I told you we was going to hear about that again? Well, yeah, that's what they used to actually arrest Joshua. They served him with a warrant for his arrest for rape, and they locked him up for that. And so while Josh is cooling his heels at the precinct, the police are searching their house for evidence. And y'all, I need you to understand, at this point in time, Joshua ain't but 19 years old. Like, oh my God. Now, AC wasn't there when they grabbed up Joshua, but you know, news travels fast and word got back to him that the popo was looking for that ass and they wasn't going to stop and they got a warrant for your arrest for some more shit. They ain't got there again because just like Joshua, they don't have enough evidence to charge for Herbert and Ms. Rosemary's murder, but they do have a domestic assault and battery charge to hit his ass with. Plus, when they went up in the house, they found ammo. And AC is on parole, fed parole, and you know he ain't supposed to be around none of that shit. So they used all of that to go get AC's ass, and they got him the very next day, February 3rd, 2007. They hauled his ass down to the station, and baby, I don't know what they told AC. I don't know what they threatened him with, but for a nigga that was such a menace to society, baby, this nigga folded like a card table. Oh, he told him everything. Everything? Everything. He told him how Joshua had went up in Herbert's house and robbed them and how he went back and made them have sex and then he ate that lady brain. He told them all of it. So the police get all of this on tape of AC singing like a bird, right? And so the police, they go back and they holler at Joshua a couple days later. Now, this whole time, Joshua been denying everything. It wasn't me. I don't know what y'all talking about. I don't know them people. You don't know. You ain't got nothing on me. Let me go. He denied that shit like Peter did Jesus. Honey, it wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about. Nope. You got your facts wrong. It wasn't me. You ain't got no witnesses. Ain't nobody gonna say I had nothing to do with it. Blase. All that shit, right? Just cocky and smug as hell. Well, now, the detectives are the ones that's smug and cocky. They tell Joshua, oh, nigga, we got that ass now. And Joshua was like, you ain't got shit on me. The detectives was like, you think so? Your brother just dropped all the dimes on your ass. That's it. Your ass is finished. But, Joshua don't believe them. And he actually says to the cops, my brother ain't gonna snitch on me. You must be out your rabbit ass mind. That's my nigga, man. Let me tell you so. My bro ain't finna say shit. I know you lying now. And then the detectives press play and let Joshua see and hear his brother telling all the business, putting everything on his ass. Baby, that nigga glitched out on their ass for real at this point. Oh, he couldn't believe AC would do him like that. Like he was dumbfounded that his brother, his partner in grime and crime, would flip on him like that. Man, he took that shit real hard. Like Nino Brown on the stand hard. If I'm going down, everybody going down to the 10th power hard. Full on hissy fit. How the fuck his brother just gonna ignore hood protocols and tell all the business? How his brother gonna break code like that? He just sitting there watching and listening to AC just lay all the shit out, putting everything that happened on his little wild ass. And so then he went on ahead and confessed, since AC had already done squealed like a pig in heat. He told them all the shit that only the killing killer that had killed the Hobbs would know. Where the bodies were, how they were positioned, where they were shot, all of that shit. And so after they got all the information, they send Joshua back to the cell block, and in true dumbass nigga fashion, he heads straight for the phones. Now y'all know, when an inmate makes a collect call, the phone tells them that the calls are being recorded. So govern yourselves accordingly, right? Well, this stellar specimen of a cockroach proceeds to get on that jail phone and go the fuck off to somebody about what AC had done. I can't believe this motherfucker told everything on me. I ain't never gonna see daylight again. Like, he just talking. You ain't saying, oh my God, I can't believe my brother said this about me. I can't believe he's trying to pin this on me. I ain't had nothing to do with this. I'm innocent. I can't believe he is trying to link me to these crimes. Not one motherfucking time did this dumbass say anything like that. All you talking about is AC and AC's tongue and how the fuck AC done snitched on you and told all the business. Like, you are talking like a super fucking guilty ass nigga, which you are. So now the police have AC's confession that Joshua was the murderer that murdered Herbert and Miss Rosemary. They got these telephone calls that Joshua made, all but admitting that he was the motherfucker that did it. And so they ended up charging him with 4 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of first-degree arson, and 1 count of assault and battery with a deadly weapon. Now, the Tulsa police didn't charge AC with anything because he was being held by the feds for having 292 rounds of ammunition in his house, and being on paper and all that. It was a violation of his parole, so they was gonna let the feds handle that ass. You know what I'm saying? So in the end, it took about 19 months before Joshua Anderson's punk ass would find himself in a courtroom ready to crank up the jury. It's October 22nd of 2008 when his trial started. And baby, that motherfucker was shot just 2 days. The prosecution, they had the confessions from AC and Joshua. They played the jailhouse phone calls where Joshua wasn't showing a lick of remorse for killing the Hobbs the way he did. I mean, this nigga wasn't remorseful. He He was resentful that his brother told on him. And the jury heard all of that. Joshua's court-appointed attorney tried to make the case that there was no evidence that his client has killed anybody, He said that Joshua was retarded. That was the word he used. And personally, I think it's fitting because this nigga is definitely they were trying to say, no fingerprints were found, no DNA, no nothing, no type of physical evidence that tied Joshua to this crime, only his brother AC. And if AC knows so much, maybe AC did it. Listen, it's hard to get evidence when a motherfucker set fire to the evidence, Mr. Court-appointed attorney. Ain't nobody trying to hear that shit. And the jury damn sure wasn't studying none of it because, baby, it took them 2 hours to convict Joshua Anderson on all charges for the murders of Herbert and Miss Rosemary Hobbs. Now, because they said his elevator didn't work, they didn't give him the death penalty. Instead, they gifted him with 2 life sentences plus 25 years for the arson of it all. And so that's his first trial for the Hobbs family. He found himself back in front of a judge on December 8th, 2008, where he pled guilty to murdering Christopher Madero and Evaristo Tobias Jr., and then they hit him with 2 more life sentences. Reincarnate if you want to, motherfucker. We coming for that ass. Joshua Julius Anderson is inmate number 586755 at the Lexington Correctional Center in Lexington, Oklahoma. And that, New Orleans Nation, is the story of one of the most disturbed, disgusting, diabolical bastards that I have ever had the displeasure of telling y'all about. Sweet black Jesus. I feel sick. Not just because of the dastardly deeds this deranged motherfucker did, but because of the fear and anxiety they caused a whole ass neighborhood. Look, I know you can't help where you live, and sometimes you gotta crawl before you walk. I get that. But it's so sad that your neighborhood can determine your safety. To not be able to tell the police that someone is terrorizing not just you, but everybody is crazy. And even crazier, the police know that you and your neighbors are being terrorized and they ain't doing shit to protect and serve. These motherfuckers took over a whole neighborhood. And let's be clear, I'm not talking about the projects, right? I'm talking about a neighborhood of houses and yards and people trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. And what little bit they do have, these menaces of society were taking their shit. Their money, their dignity, their homes, their freedom to live life unafraid, as well as their lives. And everybody knew it. Usually when we are talking about these serial offenders, nobody knew who was doing the serialing. But in this case, there was no confusion. Everybody saw the patterns. Everybody knew who killed Chris and David and Herbert and Miss Rosemary. Everybody knew who was breaking in the houses. Everybody knew who was setting people's houses on fire. Everybody knew who the motherfuckers was that was stumping mud holes in people's asses in the street. It was no secret. He and his brother were doing that shit in plain sight and outright daring somebody to do something about it. Ooh, child, my blood pressure. I'm telling you, somebody should have shot the shit out their asses because I am furious and I didn't even live there. Like this, I'm acting like this shit happened in my neighborhood. And let me tell you, I have lived in some hood-ass, gang-infested, drug-infested neighborhoods. Grew up in them, ran the streets in them, hung out, all that shit. And to a certain extent, some of this shit is just par for the course, right? Dealers gonna deal in plain sight, fights and shootouts gonna break out from time to time, but nothing like this. There is always a Billy Badass in the neighborhood, but not like this. I tell y'all all the time that the Lord is still working on me because, baby, I'm a vindictive, sneaky bitch, and I'm going to get my lick back. Believe that. And I stay strapped. I would have blown Joshua the fuck away. Baby, let me catch you beating on my daughter in front of my house where I pay rent. Bruh, The police ain't gonna have to do shit because you's a dead motherfucker. I mean, the anger that's welling up inside of me is like on 1,000. If ever there was a motherfucker that should have been tied to a truck and drugged down the street of this neighborhood until he just disintegrated, it was that nigga Joshua. No redeeming qualities about him at all. He is literally a drain on the population. My wish for you, Joshua Anderson, is that every day and twice on Sunday, a big black nigga named Snow is taking your low-life, disgusting ass through there. I hope you get abscesses on every last one of your teeth and they fall out one by painful one and just leave you with a pus-filled mouth full of holes that just make eating impossible. I hope you get shanked in the shower with a rusty nail and get gangrene in the tip of your penis, and it just fall off. I hope that you never have another good day in life, just strife and hard labor and even harder dicks. I hope every night you are tormented by the meanest ghost that ever haunt a motherfucker. May you never get more than 30 minutes of sleep at a time for the rest of your miserable days. And even if all this happens at the same goddamn time, it's still too good for your punk ass because you still alive. You still a leech and a drain on the public titty. Just all they should give you is stale bread with roaches baked into it and the most contaminated they can find in the bottom of Flint. That's it. That's all you deserve. Okay, New Orleans Nation, I gotta stop because this nigga here got me heated. Let's talk about it on social media. You can find me at Melanin Mayhem Podcast on YouTube, Facebook, and IG. I am Melanin Mayhem PC on X. The email is always open. It's melaninmayhempodcast@gmail.com. This week's New Orleans Nation shout out goes to Shift Soup, who left a review on Apple, 5 stars, and it's titled Everything I Need. Finally, a crime thriller podcast that speaks my language. Phenomenally done. Short, sweet, and to the point. I love it. Thank you, Shift Soup, for your support and your kind words. You know, I do try to inform and entertain as much as I can respectfully. You know what? That made me just think of something. Let me touch on something for a second on how I do what I do. Serial killing, serial raping, and to a much lesser extent, serial stealing, these are heavy subjects. And you know, because I'm not bringing you stories of one person that killed one other person, like a crime of passion or something like that happens all the time. I'm talking to you guys about multiple murders from a single offender every week. And while I don't glorify what they did, knowing what they have done is important. But it can also be teamed too much, especially when it's all serious and buttoned up like some of the podcasts do. And you know, I could say 50-11 times, he murdered so-and-so, he killed so-and-so, so-and-so was shot, so-and-so was killed, so-and-so was murdered. But eventually, it's just too depressing. And the listener is going to tune out. And for me, I don't want you tuning out. So I liven things up. No pun intended, by using metaphors and adjectives to describe a death. I by no means make fun of the victims, and I don't focus on the victims. I focus on the perpetrators because I need my people to know that they walk among us. So if me saying the room or disconnected or turn their water off offends you, there is this thing called free will, and you can excuse yourself from the congregation. We don't close and block off the doors over here. Honey, Fantasia said it best. Free yourself. And I normally wouldn't even speak on this because I got other shit that I need to be doing. But somebody who shall remain nameless got on Beyonce's internet and left a comment about how I be joking about these people and it just rubs them the wrong way. I need you to understand that there are no jokes about the victims. I will drag the fuck out of these offenders though, and I will present my stories to you in a way that will hopefully get this heavy ass information across and stick with you as you move about your life. Anyway, child, let me go. It's 4 a.m. Monday morning, and I got to be at work at some point in time today. So let me go on ahead and get my butt in the bed. But before I go, you know what it is, New Orleans Nation. Y'all go on ahead and stay safe. Y'all, please, please, please stay vigilant. And remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. It's One Love, New Orleans Nation, and your favorite country girl is out of here.
Woo-wee, Nana, you did that.